So I've just received word from Meet Farid, our reporter in Pahalgam. He's been briefed by personnel there that the number of dead in this attack has gone up to 26 and 20 are injured. It's a massive, massive attack. And their security forces saying that a group of about half a dozen TRF terrorists actually executed this. Gaurav Sawant leads India Today's strategic affairs coverage. He joins me from our newsroom now. Gaurav, you've covered terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir for more than 2 decades now. This is one of the biggest attacks we've seen at a time when India was lulled into this sense of complacency that things in Kashmir are getting better. This massive attack, that too on tourists, not on a military convoy, on tourists. It almost seems as if Pakistan is asking for trouble.
Rahul, Pakistan has actually war-gamed India's response or the lack of it, even south of Pir Panjal. You know, you spoke of military convoys. Multiple military convoys were targeted. Soldiers have been killed by terrorists. Captains have been killed in counter-terror operations. And India's response had been rather defensive since India was focusing more on the northern borders. But even now, this is, as our guests have very rightly pointed out, a signal which is sent out because the Prime Minister is in Jeddah, the Vice President of the United States is in India. The fact that 26 have been killed and several still remain critical. The fact that initially they said 2 to 3 terrorists and now information is there were 5 to 6 terrorists and more. Some carried out indiscriminate firing, others carried out targeted attacks. So this was a very well-planned military level operation on civilians. So the aim was scare the tourists, bring them into a kill zone, then identify Hindus and then target them. This is on the basis of what eyewitnesses have said so far. Indiscriminate firing happened. They ran in one direction. Those who were able to run away, like that person's video we showed, he managed to get away. But others were trapped in a kill zone. And that is where those who were eating food at that restaurant, they were identified by their identity cards, by their names. In one instance, there is an eyewitness who seemed to indicate that men were asked to take off their clothes and then killed. Now, these are horror stories that are coming out from Pahalgam at this stage. And while the security forces, we are told, are hot on the heels of some of these terrorists, there is the chase that is on. The UAVs are being used to scan some of the areas. There are some OGWs who've been taken into custody to know the areas where some of these terrorists are operating. So some of those operations are currently underway. But that big are our forces operating in silos or are they operating as one big team is the biggest question that Union Home Minister Amit Shah would be grappling with when he reaches Srinagar to take stock of the situation after meeting the injured. When he takes stock of the security, clearly forces cannot operate in silos if they have to defeat Pakistan's state-sponsored radical Islamist terror.
Gaurav, how do you view the question of India's response matrix? One, of course, we've seen what happened in Uri, we've seen what happened after Pulwama, the Balakot strikes. Sushant Sareen on the show was asking for something bigger, saying go after the high-value targets in the army or amongst the terrorists. Don't just randomly go spray some bullets on a madrasa or on a terror compound or on a military installation. Do something bigger. So, you've been speaking to officials in the army. How are they viewing the question of response? There will be. For anybody watching at this time, I want to tell you very clearly, you can just see the purposefulness with which the Home Minister is marching up into that private charter, that there will be a response of that. There should be no question. The question really is, what form and nature should that response take, Gaurav?
Rahul, the Narendra Modi government's credibility would be at stake because this was seen as a very strong government, whether it was a surgical strike after Uri or a Balakot after Pulwama. And Pakistan got that message initially. You haven't had a terror attack beyond Jammu and Kashmir after 2019. However, it's a major attack where civilians and tourists from across the country have been targeted. Victims are from Maharashtra, victims are from Karnataka, victims are from different parts of the country. Apparently, there are 2 foreigners. We are still waiting for an official word on that. And this would show India as a very weak state in case there isn't a response. Whether there'll be a military response, there would be one at some level. Whether, it's overt, covert in other ways, that remains to be seen. Response will be there for sure. But as Sushant says, that high-value target needs to be taken out. So, look, Pakistan is bleeding. It's losing hundreds of soldiers on the Afghan border frequently. but there has to be a message that if you bleed India, there are direct costs. It cannot be that random overall Pakistan bleeding, because that message, Pakistan's army chief gave a very clear message: Hindus and Muslims are different. He said two-nation theory, because he's a radical Islamist general. If we fail to realize that, we are making a big mistake. You're not dealing with a suave general. You're dealing with a radical Islamist general whose only aim in life is to bleed India, and because he wants to shift focus away from Afghanistan. If we respond adequately, he will get the message. If we don't, then there is trouble ahead.
Okay, I want to thank Gaurav and all our guests for joining us. I want to go across now to meet Fareed again. He's in Pahalgam. He's reporting that the number of dead has now gone up to 26, with 20 injured. Now that's a very big, I mean, even one death is terrible, but that's a very, very big number. You know, you've been speaking to security forces who are looking at this operation. How are you looking at the response and the fact that you got Indian Army personnel now hot on the heels of these terrorists?
Yes, that's right, Rahul. In fact, it's a multi-agency effort right now. You have the Indian Army, you have the special paracommandos of the Army, the SOG, the CRPF, all of them are into this right now. Two sides to this operation. One, the anti-terror operations that they have launched, but also importantly to take care of the injured, to ensure that the dead bodies are brought down, and also proper treatment and swift treatment is provided to the injured. So these two aspects being taken care of. But yes, that toll, as we had been fearing, it will go up and it will go up drastically. Initially, we were told that there were many injured, but now even if you look at the first visuals that we got from the location, Rahul, there were bodies littered around. So you could make out that the death toll could increase, but it will reach 26. This is really a carnage, and we still have around 20 people who are injured besides the dead, some of whom are critical. It's a medical emergency. I could see 100, in fact 30 to 40 ambulances from various districts that have been brought. You have choppers also. Right now choppers service has been suspended because of the dark, but ambulances, you can hear the sirens. So ambulances are at work.
Okay, we leave it there. This is just really terrible. You know, this was where I was in Kashmir during just a couple of months ago during the skiing season, and I was just hearing such wonderful things from the locals there about the return of tourists, the return of normalcy, and in the manner in which tourists have been attacked. Most people would have planned summer holidays just around the corner. Most people would have planned holidays in different parts of Kashmir and now want to think twice about whether it's safe to go or not. And there will be a response. And these are not people who want the good of Kashmiris. These are terrorists, the Pakistani army, who clearly don't want Kashmir or Kashmiris to do well. And that's really what they're after. And the people of Kashmir have seen through this, but the Pak army still hasn't been taught the lesson. And from what I gather from sources in the government, the Prime Minister himself and the Home Minister and the Indian Army determined to teach them a lesson. The next few hours and days will be critical, and India Today will keep you one step ahead of the news.